Okay. Hey guys. Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Um, do we just redo?
Yes.
Okay.
Two.
I'm Shannon, BL Gossip Girl.
And I'm Heather Lee, Red is Trying.
And I'm Kelly BL Chef. Damn it, my name.
Again.
I'm going to fix it right now. Keep going.
This is not another BL podcast. I'm warning everybody right now. This is the second time we've started this because we have already messed up today. So
I'm sorry.
But I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying, we're already
We were
in chaos bucket. So I'm sorry for anything that happens next.
Chaos bucket. That's what we are, and have always been.
I like that description.
All right, it's the most appropriate one.
So, yeah, this is our take 2 because. So I don't know how to start take 2. I'm already in the conversation.
Okay, I will sum up take 1 real quick. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Take 1, we talked about perfect 10-liners. We talked about how excited we were for Santa. I said it right this time. And I said there was a little more trauma to that one. And then we were talking about the different 30 episodes, yada, yada. But when I said trauma, somehow we led into War of Why. I don't know how trauma led us into
it wasn't trauma. It was the different
breakup
stanzas of them each having their own storyline.
Yeah.
It wasn't trauma, though that does tie very well.
Huh. Yes.
Yeah. We were talking about how the other time we've seen this done was War of Why, and it didn't really work out that well for War of Why. And then Heather Lee was like, well, War of Why was like a trauma bucket. And that might have also been why it didn't work out. Not necessarily it split into distinct storylines, like 5 episodes of storyline. And then we said that if they had added at the beginning that these were true stories, more people would have stayed through the trauma. And that's where we got derailed.
Yeah.
And then I said, even with that, people don't like to hear the truth about things. I said people are more comfortable focusing on an actor and taking that actor down based on what they think has happened than they are dealing with maybe companies or managers doing things untoward. That is hard for them to digest. They don't really want to see that or think about that. And so I think even with that up front, people had a hard time watching it because it felt too real and they don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then
we're really smart when we're on a roll. We just forget that later.
I'm looking back at this. I'm like, damn, it only 15 minutes?
Yeah. It was good. I'm so sorry. I deleted it.
Yeah. And then this was the one. This is what we were talking about before we had to pause and I had said, I think if you've had years in a workforce, if you've had jobs and all this kind of stuff, you can spot things. So you don't, and you look at these companies and you can see, because just across industries and so on, there are just certain things that are red flags that if you've had to work years and so on, you can spot certain things where you're like, no, hold on now. Yeah. Because I do think that's something people constantly forget, is that this is work. These are employees. And with that comes hierarchy. I can't talk.
Yeah.
And structure and the way things run and all that kind of stuff.
Various different KPIs for different levels. So it really changes everybody's focus, which means the people that probably should change things aren't focused on that because that's not part of their KPI.
Hello, Heather Lee. Yes, I like it.
Damn, that's all those years in the workforce.
Yeah.
My MBA might have something to do with that.
Also, the type of work we do, I do think that matters too. If you've been in kind of those power structures and you understand, or in the HR side of things, and you understand what the responsibilities are in that kind of workplace. I oftentimes, which I mean, to be fair, fandom is based on fandom is focused on their faves and being a fan, which completely understandable. So when you start delving deeper or dealing with things that go outside of that, there's either a shutdown or a lack of interest, or what I did say. I remember what I said. I was like, sometimes you're like, I don't know about how safe that workspace is. And someone's like, but I liked that love scene and I want more of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it gets in the way of the product that they're enjoying. So they'd rather not really look at what that means. On the other side of things, that advocacy kind of falls short when it gets in the way of getting what you want. Let's be real.
Also,
Yeah.
I personally feel like because as fans they focus on the humanity portion, like for people, they forget sometimes that it's a business on the other side.
Yeah.
Who focuses on the business, less of the humanities. And I think a lot of what some of us that like to focus on both things, because that's pretty much what the three of us do all the time. Sometimes you have to figure out what the medium is to keep the humanities safe, keep the people okay, but then understand that they do have to make money or nobody's going to stay in that business. Not because of anything other than like they just can't pay them because they have no work.
You know what I just realized too, that I don't think we even understood about forming a friendship, is that I think we're all, I don't know if civic minded is the right thing, but we all have kind of a activist spirit about us. And I don't think we've ever said that openly to each other, but I think a lot of people don't have that. Is everyone okay? What's my role in this?
Yeah.
What is my responsibility in this? And how can I speak up if things, like, we all just naturally come from that space and thinking, and it's hard to reconcile that most people aren't like, they're not where they're just watching their shows and having a good time. And we're like, I just watched this interview and I'm a little concerned. Should I make a video to make sure, we should be talking about that? Like, that's our natural instinct. That's just how we move through life. And so I think it's part of what made us probably friends without actually speaking to the fact that that's something that's in all three of us, I think.
This is actually, like, we're going with this because this is one of those things where I've been having this a lot on my page this week, where people are like, oh, it's just gossip. You shouldn't gossip. You shouldn't listen to rumors. You shouldn't care about this stuff. And I always have to explain to people, I'm like, oh, like, gossip is a tool and people use it constantly to alert you to things, to let you know about stuff. And they're doing it in a way that they can, because normally, like, there's the one gossip where it's like, guess what? We know who's dating someone. It's like, okay. But there's other gossip that comes out and there's rumors and like all these things serve certain purposes. And like, in one of it could be weaponized, it could be used negatively. But I'm like, this is one of these things where like, this is stuff that, what is it? It's never just what it seems. It's never, you're making faces. Why are you making faces?
Sorry, I love you to death. And I think your approach to gossip is that. But I think some gossip is just straight up gossip and people trying to
100%.
get people to their pay, or get reads on a magazine. Like, the star is not always steeped in something deeper, not everything is something.
Something doesn't have to be something all the time to be a tool, to be used for things. It doesn't have to, like,
I don't know if it's all a tool. I think some of it is just,
I'm not saying it's all a tool. I'm saying it doesn't have to be that all the time. But it really does frustrate me when this comes up all the time. Because I'm like, no, not everything. Sometimes the stuff is, like I said, somebody's like, oh, someone's dating. And it's just a rumor about dating and so on. But like, these are things that get used and can be used in certain environments to like get word out about things that you can't, that normally, like, there's not another avenue for it.
Okay, so I think I understand where this is, what this is, and I think I agree, but only in the sense of the person that is releasing the gossip or the rumor might have ulterior motive for something.
Okay, I think we're reading way too deep into.
No, I'm not saying like deeper. I'm saying like this random account saying that these people are dating, and it's literally two people that happen to be in the same spot 6 months apart, is a rumor, and that's all it is. that it's the basic level. It is not deeper. It's nothing. But the person that released it, they want something more from it. They want a content creation. They want something like that. That, yes, is a rumor. That means nothing, but it is also a tool for the person that released it. Right?
Okay,
Is
so
that
that's
what
not
we're
what I'm
calling it?
saying. So what,
Because I don't
like,
understand
yes, I think that's true. Like gossip is a tool, but what I was saying was on point with stuff like Kelly's saying, like, about like when you listen to the rumors, you listen to the gossip, you hear the things that people can't say always upfront and forward about stuff.
I think
Because
maybe
it is a form of
talking about
communication.
different rumors and stuff like that.
I'm not talking about a specific rumor.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying like
Types of
I
rumors.
see the kinds of rumors that are talking about something without talking about something that you talk about. Like I see what you talk about, but I also see a slew of other rumors that are like, where the fuck do you guys even come with this?
They're
Like
just making up stuff.
they're just making up stuff. And I'm from like K-pop and the other space, and they talk about like the most random things. I'm like, where the fuck? What is happening right now?
I think
And they ain't got
rumor
nothing.
is a big umbrella, and so
Yeah.
when you say rumor, a lot of people are looking at the big umbrella and not maybe the more targeted things. I think you're talking. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I
But
understand.
I
what you're
think
saying.
when
I'm
people
just
hear rumor,
confused.
they just think about how somebody, and I know even the dating rumors, some can fall into what you're saying, and some can just be stupid rumors that someone started just to get attention, or they believe this certain, they're driving. I guess that is a tool too, because they're driving for something to happen that they want within a fandom. Like rumor covers a huge, there's a lot of different types of rumors. They're not just the ones that have meat on the bones. There's the ones that don't, and they're still a rumor.
I think I'm just confused. I think.
I
don't
think
want
I'm
to
making my
too
point
deep
very
in
well.
this.
My entire point is just that, like,
But, like-
literally, the thing was people like disregarding everything. I'm like going, no, gossip is a tool. It is a form of communication. You
I
do learn things from it. It's not something where you just we ignore all this stuff because I'm like, no, this is a way
I
people
can
have.
understand why people would, though.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move on because my point is being massive. It's being missed, and I don't know how to make it.
I do feel like some of it I understand. I just don't feel like that applies to every rumor that comes across my plate. Does that make sense?
Not all.
Yes, but I literally said it doesn't apply to all of it. I'm saying in the general form.
But maybe that's just me. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We don't have to dig into it.
I do believe what you're saying for select things, and I do know that we focus on.
Okay, No, I'm talking about as the form of communication, not as like believe all the rumors or the type of rumors or this. It's
so
the
that
form of communication.
Statement alone doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. So how are you? It's just too much for this. I think we're a podcast that we're doing right now to like debate that, but like maybe we could take it. Sound like work. Take it offline, because I know we might circle around this and not get to the other topics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
to talk about. But yeah, there's a piece of that statement that doesn't work for me in my perception.
I think my brain is very stuck on a generalization.
Yeah, just rumors.
Statement, and it's not. But I think that's my interpretation. So that
when I'm thinking when I see a blank account, that likes to just post text all the time. And I'm looking at it and I know what they're saying is incorrect. I know it's incorrect. That is still a rumor. It has 15,000 likes on it.
So
it is a rumor.
This is where we will have to take this offline. I think you guys are putting it, what I'm saying, you're putting it too much into specific situations.
You have to. I don't understand how you don't.
Because it's like gossip. Gossip is a communication style, and it is a thing that's been around before we had Twitter, before we had any of these things.
And it's the same. Yeah.
And it was like, and it's like a thing that has made or broken people. It's a thing that has broken, other stuff. Like it's a legitimate thing. It's a legitimate tool. It's not just the thing. That's what I'm trying to get to. Is there's this way of like, brushing a lot of this off. I'm like, whoa, this is like an actual gossip, and how it works and how people choose to use it is an actual.
It depends on who's using it.
Yeah.
Well, no. I'm not saying it's how it's used. I'm saying it in its of itself is a form of communication, a tool, and how people choose to use it is different. And it might not, it could be like, oh, they just want to say shit and try and like make someone look bad. I'm not saying like, I'm saying in and of itself.
Okay, I'm going to ask whoever listens to us in the comments to figure out what we are all trying to say and figure out if we're all saying the same thing. Because I'm starting to think that we're all saying
we're
the same
not
thing
all
in different
saying
ways.
the same thing.
'Cause
I know that, but we can move on. We can move on.
Things earlier.
Yeah, I'm getting lost in the sauce here.
Please, if you're in the comments, decipher us for us because we no longer understand.
What do you think we're saying? Because I don't know what we're saying anymore.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right, what's on our list? Yeah, Heatherly, what's on the list?
I want to talk about Ernie and his
okay.
live thing that he did and what he talked about with the international fans versus the Thai fans.
Oh, okay. So Ernie did a live with Laura and Bedhead MBO. Yes. Yep. And he talked about his show. He talked about a lot of different stuff. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting and something we've talked about on the podcast before is international fans versus Thai fans, where we sit in things, how we interact with the shows, and what weight they put on the different audiences. And one of the things that he said was, because Laura asked, are we becoming more important? Something along those lines. I'm rephrasing what she said. But he was like, local will always be the most important. He's like, we are Thai people, these are Thai shows. We are marketing towards Thai fans. He said, but what he found interesting specifically with Monster Next Door was that it wasn't getting a lot of traction in the Thai audiences. And it was internationally, and international audiences talked about it so much, which I still find fascinating because it wasn't a lot of us, but we talked about it so much. It drove Thai people to be like, what are they? Why is there interest? And it got a Thai audience through that. So he said he had never seen it happen that way before. And I thought that was really interesting. And he also said he took note of that moving forward, that making things, his takeaway in the near future was making sure things were accessible to the international fans. Because even if we're not the core audience, the accessibility allows us to be part of the conversation that can help drive even a Thai audience to a show, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I want to give Ernie so much credit though, because I feel like the few of us that we were like super excited about it, we were super excited about it. Like we were really loud and really excited about it. But I really think what really helped drive that forward was Ernie's breakdown of his each episode.
Yeah,
because it helped. I feel like it helped international audiences even more understand why certain things were significant, because it gave extra body and content to for us to be like, well, I already love this show, but now I love this show for 17 other reasons. I really want to give him that kind of credit for that.
Yeah, and he was saying even he said it was important, not even just even the auxiliary stuff that they create around it, to make sure there was translations for that, because we consume everything, making sure it's accessible for us to have all of these different pieces, the level of importance for that raised because of how we consumed the show and how active we were. Because he said he didn't even know if people would want to talk to him or want to engage or watch, his videos and stuff, and our excitement in that. He's now taking note for his next project, which I'm excited. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's coming in next week. I think
he said it was being talked about somehow next week. I don't know.
Next week, I think. Yeah. So we'll see.
Are we still thinking GMM?
That's my guess. He did not say, but he said it was not just Lee TV. It was with another company. And I'm just going what's in that family that he would be working with, and GMM makes the most sense to me, but it could be somebody else. I don't know.
It could be something else. I think the only reason my strong maybe it is GMM is because last year the release for the 2024 lineup
Oh, it had
was
yeah.
October 18th, I think, of 2023, and that was when they did part 1, and so I feel like that would be when they do part 1 this year. It's either like this coming week or the next week, which I would line up with what he said.
I'm trying to think. Do y'all know of other companies that partner with
work with
WeTV?
I don't know. I mean, I know they have to have other ones considering there's so many things on WeTV, but I don't watch WeTV, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. BL wise,
WeTV specific.
he's an employee of WeTV. He did say that.
So it's a different one. It's not going to be the same company as last time, right?
It was just WeTV last time.
Yeah, last time they didn't have a supporting.
Oh, I thought Monster Next Door was also a part of the one who did Knock Knock Boys.
I don't know.
They might have
because they were in Knock Knock Boys. They were in Knock Knock Boys, and then and that's called.
He didn't mention another company unless I came late to the live. So guys, maybe he did prior, but in the section of the live that I watched, he just said, "I am an employee of WeTV."
And that production company, I've only seen them do WeTV shows.
Okay.
What are they
But
called?
he said it was different. For whatever he said it was going to be different. It's a different.
Okay, so then it's probably not, because that's now the company saying it's signed with.
Yeah. I don't, it is not, it's nothing to do with Monster Next Door or that storyline. None of that. He said it was different. And he was very excited. And he said it is nothing like what we got. He alluded to the fact that it would be very risque. Yes. He was like, he basically was like, "You're not even ready for what's coming." And I was like, "What is coming?" So I don't know. I
feel like I need people to talk that stuff down.
I know.
I'm like, because I'm at this point where I'm like, listen, you need to talk it down, because sometimes I think what people are like, "Oh, you're not ready," and we're like, actually, this stuff's being made over here, but I understand why it's new from here.
So here's the thing why I think I somewhat trust him. He revealed that not only is he a lover of fanfic, he writes fanfic.
Okay, all right, I trust him.
Yeah, he's in those streets.
I don't know if I can pronounce it, but I did find the company, the production company, Kongtub Production. They also did Knock Knock Boys.
Okay. So he alluded that it was different. Again, I came to the live late, so I might have missed some of the information. It is all on YouTube now. I think I don't know what YouTube channel, but it is on YouTube.
I'm literally trying to think who partners with WeTV, and I keep getting it mixed up with Voo.
Oh, I know GMM does. I know they often have shows when they do their lineup. They will have specific shows that are WeTV, but that doesn't mean there's not others. That's just what's on my mind.
Was Domundi WeTV? Did they do any WeTV?
I can't think of any. I've never seen them do something with. No, I say never. I don't know, but from my recollection, I have not. I was thinking about Saints Company, Idol Factory.
I would think maybe Idol Factory.
Have they though? I've never seen them do anything with WeTV.
I don't know, but it could be new.
It could be new. I don't know. He said we'll find out soon. So
Forever You, who's that production company?
That's new.
Wabi
Sabi.
That's Wabi Sabi's. Because Wabi Sabi uses them a lot too.
Oh, could be Wabi Sabi. Does new usually? Because again, I could have gotten this wrong, but it sounded like he was like part of everything, like the production, the writing, the direction, everything. So
interesting.
I feel like new is usually in control of new stuff.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm curious.
WeTV has their paws in a whole bunch of things. Jesus.
Huh?
And so WeTV has their paws in a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at like the full. There's 518 shows under WeTV's distribution set. So
Jesus. All right.
Well,
it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
That's a few.
No, but it just I'm curious to see whatever show that is. There's going to be really good international engagement, I think, because he said he is taking those lessons learned and he's applying them to his next project. So which hopefully other people will see too. And
I feel
I
bad
think-
because I didn't watch it.
what?
I know, so I'm just here like, yes.
But they did talk about how even it did come up, like you said, Shannon, how even Big and Park, their TikToks are even
Oh yeah, that sucked, man. I knew about like those two. I was like, oh, I'm very attached to them now.
yeah, he was talking about how all of the content had its own, value point, and how a lot of people, it was discussed how a lot of us really like their TikToks and how they're really straightforward, but they grab you and keep you wanting to watch them. So he talked a lot. He talked about the more I was like, oh, this sounds like it was a lovely safe set. He talked about these really emotional moments. I came in the middle of a story he was telling about Park, but like he had like a breakthrough in a scene and like came running to Ernie, emotional. And like the fact that he came running to him, I was like, oh, you're a good egg. I got it. Someone doesn't do that unless they feel safe with that person.
Yeah.
And just because he's on set doesn't mean he's like directing that day or something. But he said he stayed in everything, and that's not all producers and all, because not everybody takes that approach, but he chose to, or that's how he likes to do his work. And then the other piece that he said that I was like, yes, because we say this on the podcast all the time. He talked about the love scenes. And he was like, they are not romantic at all. And he said, I love the way he described it. He described it as a dance. And he's like, 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 here. Like you're moving and he's like, it's not a lot of direction of like this, these do this in this way. And like you do kind of like figure it out as you're going along, but it's not a lot of emotional direction. It's a lot of like, get here at this point, here at this point, here at this point.
Yeah.
That's really, he was like, those scenes they're not sexy. They're not romantic. It is really just choreography, which we have been saying.
It's choreography. I'm telling you, that's why whenever we can all admit the Love and the Air boys were having a great time. Okay. I don't think there's anyone who's going to argue with that fact. They were having fun. All right. Good for them. But I will never stop laughing when, was it Noel or someone was like, yeah, they told us just go and we got to do whatever we want. I'm like, I'm sure that they were given the green light to figure it out and move and like all this stuff. I'm like, but then when I saw the behind the scenes, I was like, there's the blocking. You still have to make sure you're getting camera angles, that certain stuff is happening. And we've seen other ones where they're giving a really long shot, where they're like just told to go and they go for it for like 2 minutes. But leading up to that, they walk through what they're doing, where it's going to move. Every so often you'll catch someone stopping their hand because they realize they're going to cover a camera angle. Like there's stuff that I remember. I don't know. I forget which one this was. Someone pushed a pillow down. Someone pushed a pillow down to the camera. But I'm like, there's the stuff, like you see it in the moment of them considering the fact that like, certain marks have to be made for this to even get to be used.
From what I understand, like when they say just do whatever, especially if it's those long shots, they let them try to see like what would be natural on themselves. And then they have to just keep repeating that same thing over and over again to get all the other shots. Like, first try maybe have been like, just do whatever. But then like the rest of it, they're like, okay, you landed here. Now I need you to do it like 17 times so we can get all the angles.
Even with like Cutie Pie, I think people block out the part where they were told, this scene needs to have this kind of feeling, and they were going at it too much, and they were like, you need to pull back. So even that's direction, right? Like even that is like shaping the scene into what you want it to be. It's not just them just free range. Like then they were like, we have to make this a more tender moment and calm it down a little bit. And
I always think of Bad Buddy when they get mad at Nanon for going too far on the first kiss.
Oh my god.
I remember that.
You can't eat his face. Like that's not what you're supposed to do.
Oh my gosh. I always think that's funny in the behind the scenes where you have them going, cut. No, too much experience. Like,
calm down.
yeah.
They just met.
Yeah.
Like,
This is supposed to be a first kiss.
Bite me. That doesn't work.
That stuff always cracks me up. I do, it is nice. I am happy when I hear them all talking and like, it's clear they're having fun. I'm happy to know people are having fun in these scenes.
Yeah.
But it makes me laugh. A lot of it will make me chuckle.
It did make me, it is totally non sequitur, but you talked about the Lita boys, and I just laughed as was it Fort and Pete just posted a vlog like yesterday or something when they were in Japan. And I mean, it's told, don't take it too seriously, guys. Ford is walking with Pete and he's pouting. And Pete's like, what's wrong now? And he's like, it's not the same. And Pete's like, what do you mean? He's like, we're not on the island anymore. You don't hug me like you used to. He's like, you don't hug and kiss me like on the island. It's not the same. He's just full on pouting. And Pete's just like, yep.
All right, I saw, what was it, where Fort was like, you haven't given me any hugs. And Pete was like, what the hell are you talking about? We were just hugging and giving kisses a lot. And he was like, that was as our characters.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm talking about it's Fort and Pete. I was dying. I was like, sir.
And to be fair, I know we're just going off on a thing, but like Pete did all of that. And then like in the middle of that live, they were sitting doing something and Fort had all those dolls. And he's like, I couldn't find the big one. I really wanted the big one. And Pete was like, I am the big one.
You're like, am I chopped liver? I am right here. Why do you need anything else? I'm the only thing you need.
That live was really funny. That was really cute to watch.
Funny. Sometimes you just need to have a good time.
I understand that people don't have time to watch all the content that comes out for everyone. Like, I get that. But sometimes I need people to watch more of the things that like the lives and the random vlogs and stuff like that, just because like if nothing else, it gives you a good base of what they are outside before you start talking about their relationships and how they interact in their characters. Like,
that's a good point. You're making me think of like how Pond's live and Jung's lives are so drastically different.
Yeah.
But I enjoy both of them. But Pond is a character and he's very specific personality. I said like a dry sense of humor to me. He's more like that, where Jung is just all feeling and emotion and it's just like out there.
Pond's very much like I don't know how to put it in a way that makes sense, but like he's very fact-based, but at the same time, like, I'm just joking, I'm just kidding, I don't really care. Like, he's like, you can think whatever, but I don't want mommies anymore, June, go away. Like, I'm like,
that was hilarious.
That was really funny.
And now people keep pulling up his kid pictures. Ever since he said that, he was like, oh, they're like, but you're just a boy. They keep pulling up these kid pictures of him. I'm like, y'all are horrible.
You're still just a child.
He even tweeted, I meant it. No more mommy. I am a grown up. And then under it was just like baby pictures of him.
It's so funny.
Man. It's funny.
Listen, the fans that are fun, the super unserious, like just constantly ready to joke with the actors, just give me life all the time because they are hilarious. Like, oh, you don't want mommies? Well, let me show you everything.
I realized my page attracts a lot of sarcastic people.
I can't.
Obviously, I'm not shocked by that. I did make a video saying if you have a dry sense of humor, you should follow me. But it's very funny because you can't control who like finds your page and your videos and stuff. People will see some of the comments that are making me crack up, right? Because we're all coming from the same point. We're just being funny. We're being goofy. They will get so offended. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, you're new here. I see that.
I was like, no, they're all just having. What did someone say? Some of the like stuff was, the latest gossip drop or something. And someone wrote, man, we haven't had a good drama in a while. No one's cried in a bit. And it was very like tongue in cheek like this because people were freaking out in the comments. So it was like someone responds with, why would you gain joy from other people's pain?
Oh no!
And I was like, oh god.
Let me tell you a secret.
Yeah. So thankfully, I think I got more of the people like who would be throwing photos of baby pond.
He is like, stop. I can tell. I just feel like he is sitting at home like, if you don't stop. Like, I don't even know where they found half these kid. Like, why do you have so many pictures of them?
We're just gonna find out. They were just photoshopping his face on their own kid photos. No.
I think they pulled him from all of his birthday ones. So, like, how birthday ones they pulled.
Oh.
I was freaked out. I was like,
I was like, this is a lot of baby pictures in one spot. Like, oh my god.
Sometimes they know people will know a lot. They will know a lot. Like when they'll be like, this post disappeared from their feed. I'm like, that post is from like a year ago. How'd you know?
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah, that's like that. So sometimes I never know if it's like
15. Like, why are we?
Yeah, like did a casual scroll tell you this?
Well, what's happening? Wait,
I'll say like sometimes I don't know if it's like a casual scroll and they found baby photos and they're like ha ha ha, or if it's like
yeah,
you went to the mom's private account.
In my defense, wait a minute. All of the Bilg and PP stuff is actually very accessible. So I'm an inquisitive person, and it's just there. People tweet stuff all day.
Kelly's a mommy, and nobody knew.
Mommy. Oh God, I really hate that phrase.
I know.
Put that on me. I am no one's mommy or auntie. I do not like it.
Yeah, I remember the first time someone used that. No, this was the first time one of the actors referred. Who was it? That said naughty. Like they used that to describe me, and I was like, oh no. And I knew and I was like, this is a cultural thing. I know it's used as like a goofy little thing. And I was like, all right, we're just gonna have to stamp down everything inside me that is like all the feminism rose up. And I was like, don't you fucking dare. And then I was like, cultural, put it down. Like this is a
It's also, did y'all know, like I am not a squealing, kicking her feet type person about most of these. Like this is, and it's hard because I think that is the assumption that's placed on us when people see us, and it's so against everything in me. And so I'm just like, oh, that's not actually why I'm here. It's not wrong if that's why you're here. I am not judging why you are here. It's just not why I am here.
I'm excitable, but I don't think I'm not the excitable that they think I am. I'm the excitable in a different way.
Yeah.
I think I confuse people because I get very excited about things. And it's generally not for the same reasons. But because I've reached that level, people are like, I remember, like with surgery and everything, people were like, here's pictures of like shirtless men to make you feel better. And I was like, oh no, we're not here for the same reasons.
Me and I went, oh no, that is not what she was at all.
I was like, oh no, I don't want that. Like
we discussed like, whoa, wrong target market. Like,
it is. I remember I once stitched a video. It was like, I made a video. It was about Pete and someone else. They'd like changed their hair. They'd changed some of their style. And I was like, dang, guys, like people are looking different. They look mature. And people were like, I know. Like people were like, oh, I feel the exact same as you. I could just blow. And I was like, well, we are not feeling the exact same. I was like, pump the brakes.
It's also like, I really love modeling. I've always loved modeling, but I love it as an art form. Yeah. Not as a so hot, like it's not that for me. I really think, I just think it's beautiful what photography and people and clothing can do to create art. And so when I do my little model posts, because I think some of them are just really, really good at it, and that excites me because I've followed fashion for so long. It will never fail that I will get those comments being like, he's looking fine in that picture. And I'm like, that's not what I mean. actually not why I post. And maybe objectively, yes, he is, but that's not what I was focused on.
It's always funny when I see those. I'm like, we are ships passing in the night. We're not crossing paths here.
I'm sorry. I was just imagining you opening up a file full of dudes.
My brain is like, this is what I imagined. Okay, I imagined like high on pain meds, opening up to naked men. Like, how high am I? What is happening?
It's so funny to me because when I was high on pain meds, at one point I turned to my roommate and I go, I think you need to take my phone away from me. I keep just flirting with women. Like, take this away because I'm like, I don't want to know what I've said in the morning. Oh, man. So it was really funny, but this has happened so many times, and I'll just get something super like nice, right? And I'm like, I feel like that kind of thing. Yeah.
You know, it is a blanket assumption that is made about the population that watches BL, and it's like I've always said, Build and PP fans, well, they used to be. God, that fandom has changed so fast. I don't know what to do. I'm like, I can't. It has changed, and it's still. I'm like shell shocked by it. But it used to be 90% queer women, like queer women who were. They wouldn't be mad at me saying this. Snobs not snobs, but they didn't really care for BL, and they didn't see BL as quality. I think that's actually changed even within that fandom, but I think that's because BL has changed over the few years. They didn't want to deal with any other couples. Now they love Balu Afro. They love them hardcore. But they used to be very specific group, and it was mainly lesbian women to the point. And someone brought this up the other day, and I still laugh about it. Bilkin was doing when they are selling something and it's a big crowd and everything, the brand deal thing. And he's like, it's almost Valentine's Day or something. And he's like, how many of you are looking for love? And everybody's like, we're looking for love. And he's like, turn to the person next to you. You may have found it. And it's a sea of women. And he didn't do it ironically. And the whole Twitter was like, he knows.
I was even thinking that. I was like, he understands his audience.
Yeah. He was so excited. He was like, turn to the person. You man.
I need to go to one of his concerts.
You get so many of that fandom has gotten engaged. They've met each other through that fandom. Like it was just a very queer space before the movie.
Oh yeah, because the movie
before the movie has really changed things. But before then, that was a tight group of like a lot of queer women. So it's just really this misconception of like, or misperception or whatever the word is, of what these spaces are oftentimes.
Yeah. And one of my favorite things before I started talking more about my sexuality, I was like more open about it. And there was a few reasons I wasn't talking about it in videos. One was because of my job at the time. And then the second was because I had a lot of fun with people who would like rage come into my comments and then tell me that this stuff wasn't for me and I needed to like get out of the community, you straight woman. That was like so much fun. I love being like, because I would respond. I remember I would just respond and be like, hey, you shouldn't assume people's sexuality. The amount of people who said, I feel safe assuming yours.
Oh my God. Ooh, okay. That will lead into another topic.
Okay. I missed it though.
You have no one to fool. Well, there's still people who don't believe you, so there's that.
Oh yeah, I did recently get one. I was pretty excited.
Yeah. Because that's something someone would lie about. People are insane. Which brings us to the next topic, which was Noel.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Is a good jump shift into that because he did an article recently where he talked about his sexuality. He talked about his parents. Like people who are refusing to believe him are maddening. You don't talk about your parents in this context. You don't bring your parents into a conversation where you're trying to trick us. But he basically said, you know, you have it, Shannon. You did the thing on it.
You want me to say?
Yeah, you talked.
Guys, let me sit up.
I know you did. I watched your video, so you go.
I did. I shit you not. I did that video. I screenshot the article behind me, and someone goes, "Where did you get your information?"
Oh my god!
And I was like, "In the fucking article I just read from." Yeah, idiot. Oh my god! And they went, "What article?" And I was like, "I can't help you."
My god!
I'm like, "I can't help stupid." Okay, I'm not. No, it was bad. And then when I sent them the article link, they go, "Well, are you sure this is what he could be saying, or is this bad translation?" And then I just told them to fuck off, and then they got mad at me, and they were like, "For asking a question." So here, guys, here's what he said. There's multiple translations out there. Many different people have translated it. They asked him about LGBTQ, about did doing BL help him understand. This is what I thought was hysterical to this question. They asked him if doing BL helped him understand the LGBTQ plus experience, and he said no. And he said, this man said no, he didn't need it to understand the experience. He also explained that like one of his close friends of like 10 years is a part of the community, and he has been friends with this person through multiple of their relationships. And he was like, yeah, like he was like, this is just like, essentially he's saying like, this is just life. Like, this is just life. Like, this was what I've experienced. He then went on to explain that even in his home with his parents, it's so accepting. And he said he knows he's really lucky about this, that his dad was like, I don't care if you bring home a daughter-in-law or a son-in-law, just someone who treats you well, someone who's like good and all this. And that he said his mom got really into BL and like the fandom side of things and was like super excited. And then they asked him another question. He said, because in that original question about, he said, what's important is like if they make you feel good, if you're happy with them and so on. They asked him another question, which was how he felt about gender diversity in these shows. And he said that he's happy to see it's happening more. He thinks more needs to happen. We need to see even more of it in shows, but he's really happy to see that it has expanded at this point. And then that's when he went into detail where he was like, people make assumptions. And he said they make assumptions about the people in these shows. He said, because they look at me, he's like, I know that they look at me and they assume because I'm a man, I like women. And he went on to say that that's not the case. He said his heart will flutter with both men and women. He said he has had experience with both genders, and this is not something that matters to him. What he always focuses on is like their personality, like the way they are making him feel, the way he feels when he's around them, and so on. And that's always what it's been. And so that was like the second half of these questions. And I was just like, fuck yeah, no.
I look, the thing, okay, so here's what my thing that I took from that too, from the responses to that, because there were the jerks who just didn't believe him. There was that response, but the other side of it was like, ha ha ha, we knew already, which is fun and cool, and I get it. Like most of us paid attention.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a lot of people calling that man homophobic, comfortable, not only calling him homophobic, but shaming people for liking him and saying, don't you know he's homophobic?
Yep.
And putting him on a worst actor list. And when they did their rants about everybody's just a bunch of straight people, you know, working off of our community, or, you know, the community or whatever, it was so, it's gone on for years or however long he's been doing this. So no, not everybody knew. Not only did not everybody know, but they felt comfortable calling somebody who is in community homophobic. And I think all of us need to reflect on that and how like damaging that is, and how comfortable people who think they're doing right are with making those assumptions and saying those things. And they attacked him in his Twitter, on his Instagram, relentlessly.
Yeah.
In his shows.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I think, didn't one of his birthday shows, he had female dancers or something, and then everybody just went off about how he doesn't like men. Like,
and that he's disrespecting boss. They did
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, I swear to God.
Like,
He was like, we're friends. Leave us alone.
That man is always very much like, hey, we are very close. We are
Mhm.
also just friends. And
Yep.
I'm like, yeah. Listen, I feel great. Listen.
Your yeah was not convincing. Sorry, you tried. I appreciate you.
It's a valid.
Listen,
He's like, I will be
I
full of his words.
I am one of those people where I tell people all the time, I'm like, you could just be weird with your friends to the point where people are like, what's going on there? And then you're like, hey, we're just friends. If you have not had that kind of friendship, I don't know what to tell you. I do. I do think that's funny, Kelly, because you were like,
wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
Kelly, when you were like, what did you say? You said, with the people who were like, oh, we already knew. My point of vindication when these moments happen is that my big thing I tell everyone is like, assume everyone's queer. And I have people get mad at me for this, then they go, I just don't assume sexuality at all. And I'm like, well, that's actually not true. Because you're programmed by society and everything to assume a certain way. So if you're sitting there going, oh, I'm assuming nothing, that's false. And you are very much unaware of how you actually think about things. And so when I'm saying, hey, assume everyone is queer, it's like literally a thought study in stopping your thoughts and making you reevaluate things. You know, instead of like two guys passing, you're like, what nice friends, you know, or boyfriends. It's a thing in your brain. You don't have to like literally label every person. It's for you. But I get so fucking vindicated all the time. I feel vindicated when they, you know, will say something. They're like this, and they're like, yeah, actually I am. I'm like, that's fucking right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, there's two things I want to say, because sometimes I don't think it took him time. I think he knew exactly who he was. He just wasn't telling us.
Yeah.
Which is true for so many of these people. God, Jesus. But also some do figure it out in the course of doing these shows. And I was just talking to my sister the other day because I was like, and we have said this a million times, when you make the choice to go into a career where you kiss men on the regular, you made that choice. What in you made that choice? And that doesn't mean that at the end of the day, that is where you will end up, but it will not be shocking if you unlock some things in that process. And we don't need to be weird about it. We need to let people just go through life and figure they're young, they're on a journey, just like everybody else. They just get more options in the career that they chose to figure it out maybe a little bit faster than someone who figures it out when they're 60, because people still figure it out very late in life.
Very late. And you know,
very heated about this.
This is one of those things. As I get older, it's not getting more straight. Okay. But like people I know, relationships, all this kind of stuff, it's not getting more straight. Okay. It's going the other direction. So it is very frustrating to me when I see the whole conversation. And it's, you know, everyone's straight. There's all this. And I'm like, that's not even fucking true in my daily life. In my fucking daily life, or just out on the street, that's not even true. And honestly, as I get older, it's just getting more and more queer out there. Okay. More and more people are learning things about themselves. Or just being open about it.
Yeah, more people are having the freedom to learn and kind of understand that kind of portion of themselves, because a lot of people got stuck in a binary and they didn't realize they had options to be free somewhere else. Like, does that mean everybody will choose to be queer? No. Does that mean everybody will literally actually actively be queer, like show it to the outside world? Also no. But that doesn't mean that more people aren't able to learn about themselves. And I feel like we should give that same ability to be free to learn about themselves to the people that we watch on screen.
Yeah, and this also kind of ties on. This is what I was thinking about. One of the struggles I have, and why I've changed a lot. I told Kelly I saw some of my old videos and the way I would talk about things. But like why I've changed a lot in the way I talk about stuff is because realizing people were not thinking about things the same way as me when I was saying stuff. So when I like seeing ships and all this stuff, they are enjoying it because I assume everyone is dating. It's like people watching for me. It's people watching. And so when I hear people come in, they're like, just know everything's fake. I'm like, you need to pump the brakes, because if your whole end goal on everything is simply they're dating, then that's just a bad mindset for like anything you're watching. But I'm just watching people. And no matter what, there's an actual relationship there, whether it's friends, coworkers, you know, all this kind of stuff. There's something there. Yeah, even if it's mortal enemies. And so I'm like,
that's interesting too.
it is interesting too. And so I'm like, no, it's just people watching. And to me, like whenever people come in, they're like, oh, just so you know, it's all fake. I'm like, would you shut the fuck up? If you were just here because you want it to end in dating, that's not like, that's just odd to me. That's not as enjoyable. It's not as fun. And then at the same time, the like other half of that is, you know, it's all fake. They're all straight. And I hate that.
Yeah.
And so when I found out that was like literally, I think I was pretty like, that's the only way people talk about it. It made me so furious because I'm like, there's so many queer people in there who just aren't talking about it, who don't care to talk about it. They don't ever fucking have to. There are people who, you know, everything Heather Lee was saying, they're figuring it out. You know, there's all this other stuff. And you're just erasing all of this shit because what? Because you're like, well, they're not dating. No, they're fucking dating someone. Okay. It doesn't have to be that person. Like, I don't like, oh, it infuriates me to know it because you just erased it.
That in addition to they're all straight, some people are like, well, I know that they're not all straight. There's some very clear ones that aren't. That is not what we're saying. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter what they look like. You don't know what their preferences are. And even then, preferences change. So like, I don't need you. Well, they look straight. That needs to stop. I don't care that it doesn't matter what you think they look like. They like. That is not what we're talking about.
When people talk in that way, it shows me more about those people than about these actors. I know who I'm dealing with in the way they verbalize how they feel or the way they perceive these actors in this community. I'm like, all right. Well, the other thing, oh, I had it and then lost it. Oh, damn it. They're all straight. Oh, it's gone. Oh, I had it. It's gone. Damn it.
I will explain it how I explained it to my husband. Not everybody that belongs in that community looks like they're supposed to be on the set of Will and Grace.
This is how it works.
This also is something we've talked about where I was like, I can tell who hasn't been around people, who isn't socialized in queer spaces. I can tell by the way, and that you can be straight or gay and not be socialized in queer spaces. So the language is the same, regardless of your sexuality. And some of the stuff where I hear, I'm just like, what? Like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh, you're not around a lot of people, which is not a judgment. It's just a reality, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I was one of those people. I was not around a lot of people. That was not something I was raised around.
And so the range of options and the flexibility in thinking isn't there. There's just there's a heteronormative approach to sexuality that even queer people can take if you haven't been socialized in queer spaces.
Yep.
No, that's really because shoot, who was it?
It's like having the same language but different dialects sometimes.
Yeah, because this was one of the things for me. I always used to tell people, for me, it was like, obviously queer people exist. Have no problem with them. Never an option for me. That was not a thing that was like, oh, like on the list of things I saw for who I was as a person or my future, not there.
I remember now because I was going to say like just the way that the environment just in BL has changed, right? Like it was a pretty, whether the people were straight or not, it was more of a straight leaning scene in the beginning, early days. Cause some of the beginners of that genre, some, not all, that wasn't their focus. Their focus was on, the market and what could sell their idols. They were selling idols. It was one particular company selling idols. So, but that has shifted and changed. And some of that has been the pushback of the audience consuming it, which is why, again, we can't just say, oh, why girls are just silly and that whole thing. But in that shift, in that change, as an audience, like you said, Shannon, like the language and the viewpoints have changed. Even like in our TikTok world, right? I was talking to Shannon about this the other day. Like it has shifted, and I don't even think people realize what was and where we are, and how some of that is very recent. Very recent, because I remember I didn't even want to come on TikTok because I felt like the language was really not cool. Like I wasn't finding people who spoke in the way that I did or challenged thoughts in the way that I thought should be challenged. And CJ and Shannon showed up, and I was like, huh, they're talking the way I would talk. Like, oh, and now I understand Shannon had no concept of what she was doing. That she was like, she
has not changed.
She didn't think she was pushing in the envelope, you know, like pressing against the norm.
Yeah.
She's just being Shannon. And then I was like, oh, but that's probably one of the first things that drew me to wanting to talk to you, is because I was like, nobody is saying this stuff. Like, why won't anybody push against these ideas? There was just a script that everyone spoke from. You know, they're all straight, none of them, everything is fake. But it felt toxic. That script felt toxic, and I hated it. And so having real conversations about like the range of what could be going on, that started, to me, as someone who's been around a hot minute, that's when I started seeing conversations like that on TikTok. And then a group has grown from that. And now there's a lot of people talking in that way. And that's like a normal way to talk, but it was not. And that was what, 2021?
Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 2020.
I remember, because it was literally everywhere. It was just, they're all straight, you all are dumb, blah blah blah. You couldn't say anything anywhere. And then it was all those accounts where they would just like put up the writing on the screen. It'd be like 99% of BL actors are straight. And I remember this. And then I just remember one time being like, statistically, that's not even possible. Like it just made me so furious. And I think one of the reasons it made me so furious was because of where I've come from with like my past. And I grew up in a religious organization. Now it's called a cult. And you could not be queer. So I always think about this now, and I look back and I go, who didn't get to be, because it wasn't there. And like one of the points in this cult was, we had this one thing that you had to go through, and you had to write down like all the major sins or things you struggled with, all the horrible things you'd ever done in your life. And you had to read it out in front of a room full of people, and they would judge you on it. One of the things listed in the questionnaire was one of the things that one of the sins majorly that you're struggling with was same-sex attraction. I was in a room of like 60 plus people, not a single person admitted to that. So so this was one of those things, like when I was figuring things out about myself, I was having to dig myself out of one of these big holes. And one of the big holes is just acknowledging that like queer people fucking exist. And if you make an environment where they can't even admit it, they're not going to. No one's going to say it, because it's hard. It's really rough, and it's scary to admit it and to say these things.
And I think the flip side of that too, that also really frustrates me, is this idea of like, well, you're in a gay space. You're not actually necessarily in a gay space when you're working in BL, number one. Or you can be surrounded by queer people and accepting people and still not feel like you're in a space where you can talk about or access that sexuality. I will, and please, sister, don't be mad if this is not a story you want me to tell, but she's told it. Not this is other sister, not sister that's watching BL, other sister, queer sister. She talks like,
let me give your sister's code names from here on out.
But if she does the reaction video, she'll end up telling these stories anyway. But like, we were a very accepting family. We were all in a very, like, we were in queer space. We forced my parents to like be accepting, because we kept bringing gay people home. That was our work. Like that's where we existed. And so I remember my dad coming home to our friends doing a fashion show in our prom dresses. And he said he knew then, all right, I gotta click into the world my daughters are in and figure it out. And he did. But she still struggled. She had this is why I love Tay's storyline, and I told Sunset about you.
Yes. Oh, I
already like reconciled her process, but it even helped me even more because I was rude about it. I was like, what do you mean? Like all of us would have accepted you. You know what I mean? Like, what do you, how are you afraid to tell us like that? You feel some kind of way for a minute and then you gotta like take yourself out of it and realize it's not about you. But she had struggles and she was in an accepting and loving space. So it's so damaging to approach these actors with that attitude. It's so it's worse. Like it's worse. It's you're not helping. You're not advocating. You are damaging in your language.
Yeah. Well, that's really I like when you say it like that. I think that's one of the most frustrating things coming in. I think on TikTok early. Well, I wasn't early. There was like, there was creators I followed and everyone who was talking about things, but it was just constantly being told that everyone's straight, that this is the norm. It's very fucking frustrating because it's also really, really hard to pull yourself out of that mindset as well if you're a queer person.
Yeah.
And then just to run smack in to a whole bunch of other people saying it, it's like, God.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, when I got into the TikTok side of everything, and there was two factions. There was the faction only talking about shows. They would only talk about shows. They didn't talk about actors. They didn't talk about companies. They didn't talk about anything like that. And then there was the faction that was like talking about people, but it was like all the bad things or that everybody was straight and like it was like there was no positivity. There was no like it wasn't a community building kind of situation. And it wasn't until I found like Shannon and CJ and a couple other people, I think Desiree, where I started like, oh, these people talk about the things that I'm seeing and they're talking about but they're not making it sound like it's a big thing. How do I put it? It felt like a natural conversation. And I felt like as all of us started getting together and talking more, like when Kelly came in and everything like that, it was like it started being like actual conversations that almost rebuilt the actors and stuff like in my mind, even though outside of the community, outside of it, that's how I felt. I was like, oh, these people are humans. Like, we gotta be more accepting of certain things, and they're not talking like how I would expect a straight person to talk and like all that stuff. But then I was in here like, maybe I just don't know it. Like maybe I haven't been around enough to be able to understand it. I was like, because I know where I came from was not accepting of things. So like maybe what I know is being too much influenced from the people that I grew up with. So I was like, maybe I don't understand it as well as I thought I did, even though I'm in the community. It's possible. So I was like, I was waiting to see if like, are more people thinking the way I am, or am I like way on the outside? Like maybe I don't know what's happening. So I was grateful when everybody else started kind of pulling real life and researched life information into the same spot. And so that's why I was incredibly grateful for like the little community that we built from that, because I love the shows and I was more than willing to talk all day about the shows. But every time I tried to talk about an actor or something, it was I could not deal with the amount of negativity that brought. So
yeah.
Oh my God, it was insane. I remember I made a funny little sketch and I just said, this is the world of BL. I said, as soon as you enter it, you're queer.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I was like, it's just how it works. Okay. And I remember I said down to like the people doing the lighting. I was like, everyone's queer. It's just, this is how we operate. And like, I did not think this was a big thing. Like
I never forget your Venn diagram that was just a circle and it was queer, and then a tiny circle that said maybe not.
Yeah, because I need to do more Venn diagrams. It was accurate.
I think what's important too, and this has come up like in a lot of political discourse where I see a lot of like back and forth that's going on with a lot of these TikTok creators that talk about politics and stuff, and the ones that are like, I red flags for me or whatever. There's a level of tone policing that happens when we talk about these topics
Mhm.
And there's this idea that it has to be packaged in a pretty way or said with a certain tone. And so I think oftentimes people were afraid of Shannon's approach because, you know, she wasn't saying
No
it in
package.
a nice way. But I will tell you what, people listened.
Yep.
Sometimes you can't be, I don't expect people to approach things in the same. I'm not going to do what Shannon does. I'll never do what Shannon does. Maybe in private. But not in public. Unless you really, you have to come for one of them. Probably
Yeah.
if you come for my friends, then you will see that other side of me come out. But for the most part, you're not going to see that. Just it's not who I am as a person. But I don't think that either one of us is more effective than the other. I think Shannon gets her point across in the way that works for her, and it's still valid points. And I don't ever feel the need to tell her, don't be loud, Shannon.
Yeah.
Don't curse, Shannon. It's so patronizing. And I think there has to be room for all different kinds of voices. And it's effective. Like it or not, that conversation changed. It did. You could tone police all day, but it changed and people talk differently now. I feel very strongly about it.
Well, I would like to take it back to the word like Delulu when we first started.
Jesus.
The difference of Delulu then versus the difference of Delulu now has significantly changed.
Yeah.
Like I would say we use it. It's almost like we took back the word. I feel like now because now we use it, but it's not in like a negative context because we're like,
it's
you know what?
fun.
We're just this is fun. We're gonna make this fun again because I'm not playing this game with you.
I saw a video of mine from almost 2 years ago, and it was me using the word Delulu. But when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, I'm not using this like the put down, the like," and I was like, "Wow!" But even now I won't even use it because people.
I don't like the word. People have made it.
Yeah,
they use
like
it
people
to push people down.
Yeah.
Now I don't even use it because I'm like, ugh, no, this is a thing. But it is like when you see it getting, it's so that's what I always tell people. It is people watching to me. You see the stuff evolve over time, and it is. I don't know. I think it's fun. Actually, this is a little bit funny about the yelling. When I got really, really sick, I didn't have like the same energy levels and things. And I remember people saying, "Oh, it's nice to see that you've calmed down." And I was like, and people did not know. People did not know how sick I was. Like how horribly sick I was. And that was a meter I was using for myself on if I was feeling good or not, was if I could just get a passionate response out of myself about things. And so I also like with the tone police, even though I'm like, I don't think it's ever good to tell someone like, oh, it's so nice to see that you can have a calm, rational decision. Because I'm like, no.
The irony that I have that mine is the opposite. Like if somebody sees me on a video being like over the top, they're like, are you good? Like, should I not? like for, I think, what was that show? The one that just ended that I need a season 2 of. Anyway, I put
only one?
Huh? The Taiwanese one.
The only one of?
Yeah. The only one. I put out like a super passionate, like I need it now because I could not let go of like the amount of anxiety that I had in my body. So I was just like, I'm just going to release I don't really care. And the amount of comments I got that you're the calm one, you freaking out. I'm like, oh, right. You don't hear me on the daily freaking out.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, because in my brain, I don't think I ever think of either of you as calm, but I do. I hear the voice notes.
you have the background knowledge, like, but then again, a reminder to everyone, because I have like, I don't know, performance anxiety, but like stage fright kind of, I tend to write out what I'm going to say before I say it. I don't always follow it, but if it's there, then it's easier for me to kind of track my conversation. So I sound calmer because I've already thought about the things at least one time.
That blew my mind when I found out that you were doing that. I was like, I was like, you can prepare. Like I was like, you're just not hitting go and then just finding out what you're going to say as you're saying it.
So I have the middle ground because I can prepare, but I don't feel like it's natural for me if I do. If I'm reading, Well, no, that's not true. I like if I'm but I turn into a presenter. It's not that it's not natural. It's just I turn because of work. I think because of work, I switch into like a work presenter mode instead of just a hey guys. And it actually has been super effective for me doing these TikToks. I used to hate my voice. I hated the sound. I hated the sound of my voice. So it forced me to reconcile with that. I used to be like, I like being on stage because I'm somebody else. I don't like being myself in front of people. I would prefer in front of a crowd. I would prefer to be a character. I'm totally fine with that. I'll be big and over the top, but when I have to be me, it's not that I can't do it. I can do it. But if it's me outside of something like doing a presentation, that is difficult. And so it forced me. I think people see me now and they're like, what do you mean you had a hard time with it? I had a hard time with it because I was having to allow myself on camera, and that felt very uncomfortable for a while.
I feel like, I mean, it looks really structured when I do it, but again, I mostly do show reviews. So like mine's more of like, I have a list of bullet points that I want to make sure that I hit. For the most part, I feel like I don't write everything out anymore like I used to, like when I first started, because I've gotten more comfortable doing it. But I still have to have like a bullet points of like the things I want to hit, because sometimes, because I'm so used to getting off topic with you two, I just kind of start floating away and I forget the 17 other things I said I wanted to mention. So like I need the bullet points to keep me kind of going through. Otherwise I will get distracted.
I think it's funny because I've been watching your guys' videos probably since really close to when you started posting videos. And there has been a shift in just the way you do videos, the way you make them. It's a little bit funny to me. It did take a lot to get Kelly to like make an appearance. She was very behind the scenes, freaking out. And then Heatherly was really funny because you just like, I made an absurd request and you were like, hell yeah, I'll help. But it's fun. I really like watching your guys' videos.
Every single one of your lives for months. Every live that you had with CJ for months, because I had insomnia, and for some reason, you were always live when I was struggling to fall asleep. So I was in so many of your lives for months that I was like, yeah, I can help.
And it was nice. Felt really natural. That was one of the things. Kelly and I started talking, immediately felt natural. We were going for it. Heatherly and I started talking, immediately felt natural. We're just going for it. And that's a little bit funny. One of the things I think is a little bit funny about me is I am too comfortable, I think.
Do you think? Maybe possibly? Hella guarded, super open.
Because I remember when I first started getting hate comments, and then I kind of got sick of it, so I was making response videos. And I remember everyone going, don't waste your energy. I'm like, none's being wasted.
Yeah, we learned a lot about you during the first section of that. And it wasn't something like a negative thing. It was just like both of us are like, this would drain us so much. And you're like, I am so energized. Like, this has given me all the energy in the world. I'm like, she just went Super Saiyan, and I don't even understand why this is happening.
While we were concerned, we were messaging each other. We were like, what do we do?
I was like, are we supposed to do something?
Yeah, that we were worried. We were legitimately worried. And then after a while, we were like, no, I think she's okay.
I think she's good.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she likes this, because we were both, like Heatherly said, approaching it how it would make us feel. Yeah. Like there was a time, I haven't done that in a while, but I think I've done a good job like curating the audience. But like I would do more controversial videos, and when I got inundated, I would just private the video. I couldn't deal.
Yeah.
Because I felt a responsibility to manage the conversation and not let it go off the rails, or not let some of my followers be treated poorly by people who came in out of nowhere and were dicks. Like I didn't want that. And so I felt very protective, and it was exhausting. And also I was just in a different headspace then. I had a lot more stressors going on. Whereas now, like I'm a little more in a relaxed space, so I can manage that stuff better. But yeah, I would private the video because I was just like, I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
It's just
And every time I got them, it would trigger that need that I have to like explain myself so that people understood. And it just caused so much stress that people wouldn't understand what I was saying because they kept fighting with me. And then it took these two to be like, they just want to fight with you. Like they don't actually
some
care what
people
you're saying.
do.
And that's when I was like, oh. And like once I figured that out, I just stopped responding to things. But now I just don't respond to anything. Okay.
I have gotten so good, and some people aren't trolls, and if you're not, I'm sorry. But I've gotten good. Like when someone comes on a video and asks something that has nothing to do with that video, that it will, and it's not even that they want me to respond. They want to get a response. That's why I still feel like I have to monitor those comments, right? Because they're like coming in with something that I clearly haven't. Like there's stuff going on right now that I am not discussing on my page, right? And that's a choice that I'm making not to discuss it on my page. And I have had so many people come into my comments on videos that it's not about because I'm not talking about it. Can you explain?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I see you. I know what you're doing. No, go to their page. You can figure it out.
All these trolls to understand that Kelly recognizes like handles. So if you show up on multiple of her accounts, she immediately clocks you because we will get a message. Do you know these people? Like, am I supposed to know these people? And I'm like, ma'am, I haven't made a video in 2 weeks. I don't know nobody.
Yes.
And we don't get the same trolls, so Shannon pulls a whole different crowd than me.
I thought it was funny this last round. People were like, wow, why are people suddenly being so mean to you? I was like, this is not sudden. I was like, guys, this is just how it is. And I know it. We're fine. People read gossip and they're like, you trashy person. And I really don't I don't care what people's connotation is of like someone who has a gossip account. You show up on my page, I will match your energy. I might top you. Like, we don't know where we're going to go with this. But yeah. And people are not prepared for it. Like they go to leave you a mean comment. And I swear they think that they are doing like this genius thing. Like they're just going to hurt you. And genuinely all the time, I was told, I think you guys told me that like this was just sad to hear, but I was like, at this point, I was raised in a cult. I was raised in a crazy household. You can't leave a comment on my video that's going to make me feel any sort of way. You cannot top what I've already lived through.
It is sad.
It is sad.
So I'm just like, come on, guys.
Flex. You need a hug.
You need a hug. Like, look at that little story I just told. I'm like, no, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Or like people, yeah. So that's what I always say. I'm like, what? No, what are you gonna do? You're a faceless little thing on the internet.
But it
I
does
think the
help
only
you.
one that ever affected me was when somebody told me that I needed to go off myself because I supported somebody, and I'm like, I was like,
oh my god.
I was like, and because again, I don't post enough about anything for this to be, especially on my page, and I'm like, where the audacity? Like, where did we find this? Like, how did you find the energy for this? Because I barely got the energy to get up in the morning. So let's maybe use that energy for something else. Like, I don't understand where we're coming from.
People get so fucking intense. This is why my
if we're getting it, I would like to bring this back to what we were originally talking about.
Oh yeah,
if we're getting it. So are the actors.
Go ahead. Sorry, Heather.
I was just saying, like, if we're getting it this bad, it's 20 times, 100 times worse for actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they're too nice. I'm gonna be honest. Like the actors are too nice. I'm like,
have to be.
Yeah, but you know, I'm like, especially I'm like, you guys. I feel bad that they have to be nice or that this is like a default thing because I'm just like, no, it is truly awful to see a lot of the things people will feel
I am
comfortable
grateful for
writing.
all the people that are trying to fight back, like, and fight back is like a loose term, but like trying to be like, no, you know, this isn't nice, or like when Nat was doing his stuff and like things like that. Like I like it when they're fighting back, but at the same time, I'm like, they shouldn't have to do this, you crazy people. Like,
yeah. I always think it's funny when they're like, this isn't a polite way. And I'm like, no, it's not. But my thing is I'm always like, and you're not original. Like, if you're going to be mean to me, at least be creative. But when it sounds like you just came from the group chat, I have no respect for you. You know.
I need you to remember you are not the base of this.
But still, it's like adding
Yeah.
insult
No,
to
I
injury.
I just want people to, like, if you got a problem, take it somewhere else. Leave it in the group.
I was just thinking the latest apology I saw was Off-Road's, and I'm still flabbergasted.
Oh, about the hand
mad.
holding?
It was the cutest thing. They're in the airport. Tau is right there, and the guard is right there, and Off-Road just doesn't realize, like, of course it would be Tau who's holding his hand. Of course it would be, and his smile is so sweet. He just walking through. It was the cutest thing. Like, da da da. Oh, you could just see the security guard. Like, I don't know what's happening. And then you see Tau in the background going, I can't get in there. It's like, that's my hand. What are you doing? I don't know. But it was innocent, adorable.
It was innocent.
Silly little thing. That man had to make a statement.
They went after the security guard. Like, literally went after the security guard. It was the stupidest thing. Like, I was like, between the security guard and Off-Road having to do a statement at all is so ridiculously unnecessary.
It was very clear to anyone watching that this was just a silly mistake, and it was actually endearing. Its little smile still gets me. And the security guard was keeping him safe. Mm-hmm. Like, you should be thanking that man.
Yep.
He was there to keep them safe. He was doing his job. He was grabbing him to keep him safe. And it was poor Off-Road who just was like, a hand, that must be, I was going to say, that must be my man's hand. That's what I was going to say. I'm going to pull it back and say that must be Tau's hand. Like, of course he thought that. It was so innocent. It was
natural. It was just like a natural reaction to something. Like,
yep. I always see people who talk about purity culture in shows and how people don't even realize they're coming in with that mentality when it comes to shows and what they're expecting from shows. But I'm like, but you're also putting that on these people in their real life relationships.
Oh my God.
I'm like, because there's nothing weird about accidentally grabbing someone's hand and holding it and walking. Like, if you haven't done that, I don't. But this is one of those things. I'm like, do we all not have universal experiences of accidentally grabbing someone who you thought was someone else?
I think a bunch of people don't. I think that's part of it.
Listen, I got lost in that airport and I almost grabbed a random guy's hand that I thought was my husband trying to run to a different airport. So, like, I understand this. I did not, in fact, because the man turned around and was like, oh, that's not mine. So, like, it's a natural, like, your brain is thinking about one thing and you see the thing that you need and you thought it's your thing, but it's not your thing. It's like why they ask you to tag your suitcase differently, because people accidentally grab other people's suitcases because they look the same. Like, these are all like things.
Some people just like holding hands with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Some people are hand holders. Yeah. That is I was gonna like there's two Shannon. There's two ends of that too. Like, there's when I think about the people who are like always demanding, tell us whether you're in a relationship. Yeah. Tell us give us all your information. And then it's like, why would they? Because you don't want who they are as a full whole person. You don't actually want that. Because I think about before he came to GMMTV, I've watched over the years. He is a cuddler and he's a hand holder. And some people really think something's going on with him and great. And I'm just like, y'all don't know who he is. I don't know who he is as a whole person, but I've paid attention long enough to know he will hold the hand of the person next to him. He likes to walk and hold hands. He likes to be cuddled up with people. Same thing with Gunn. Like, he's a very physical, cuddly love. There are people who like affection. That doesn't mean they want to date you. Yep. And I think it's just really hard for people to see. And it's just like, this is why they're not going to tell you who their real life partners. They're not, even if it is their actual work part, they're never going to tell you because you don't know how to act and you put too many demands on it.
What's that quote? You can't handle the truth. That is the constant with most fandoms, actually.
Yeah. It's a lot of this is frustrating for me because I am the person, I really love physical affection. I have had to learn. My friends had to teach me to tone that down because they were not fans of physical affection. So I'm now at a point where I've learned, and I'll be like, "Hey, can I give you a hug? Do you like
No, we've all
hugs?"
been warned that if we see you, we will be attacked. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I try to still be polite. I haven't just like attacked
Or
Kelly.
you didn't attack me. I don't feel like
Exactly. I held back. And so, all right, because my initial instinct, what feels very comfortable to me, is I want to link arms with you. I want to be leaning on you as I'm talking to you. Some part of my body, I want it to be touching you if we're sitting next to each other. Like,
fine. I would have been fine with that.
Okay, see, this is stuff where I've learned it's a lot for people.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And so I've had to like tone it down. When I'm around my sisters, this is something we all do. My sisters will all sit on a couch. We're all kind of sitting on top of each other. And we don't realize we're doing it till we realize like everyone, like a knee's under a knee and all this stuff. So it just feels really like
to get the ice cream and suddenly nobody can move.
Yeah. It feels really natural. But again, I've had to tone it down. So that's why when I see this, I never assume like, oh, everyone's in love. I'm like, yeah, physically affectionate people.
Yeah.
Woo, it's us.
Which oftentimes it's other thing. I know I bring it up all the time, but theater, music, dance, that usually goes hand in hand with those disciplines. Specifically like theater and dance. Theater because I always say people do not understand the emotional vulnerability you have to allow yourself to have with the people around you when you're doing theater, and it creates lifelong relationships. And it takes one show and one scene where you have to be emotionally raw, and little Park is running to, Ernie crying, that they're locked in at that moment. There's a new relationship formed there because, that has happened, and that happens in a lot of these sets and a lot of these shows. So it's that piece, and then like in dancing, like you physically have to touch each other, and so you have to get comfortable with physical touch. You have to not be like weird. When I was on the dance team, and we would induct new members, and we'd have a big party, and I remember the new members coming in, and I'm not a super physical person. And I had just become one over the years. And there were points where we were like laying on each other, like you described, Shannon. We were all the current members like that. And someone looked and said, "Man, you guys really like each other." And we were like, "What do you mean?" And I could feel them tense up. And it was clear to me that they were not used to people being that physically affectionate just at a random party. And there were mouth kissers in that. And I had to I am not a person who does that. And
I don't go that far.
Figure out where my line was with that.
There's a
I say because it's not cheek kiss. They want to say hello with a big smack on the mouth, which is not something I'm used to. And they were hurt the first time I pulled away, and then I had to decide, do I feel okay with that, with this part? Like it's a negotiation.
Communication, people.
Yeah, it is. I was just thinking about, you were saying, like, also we know they're going through workshops where they're literally learning to break down that barrier for physical affection so they can do these scenes. So that's why I'm always sitting there. That's why I never look at it as like they're faking everything. I'm like, no, I just think you've gone through a lot of stuff to get you to a point where you're okay with physical affection. Yeah. It seems pretty easy to understand to me.
I would like to remind people that the workshops do not only apply to the pair that are intimate. Workshops also apply with the friendships.
Yes.
So like they have to get used to feeling comfortable as a friend with the person that's supposed to be their friend in the show.
Director New is very good with ensemble casts because he knows how to do work to make them all. We was successful because we believed that friend group. We believed those people, it never felt forced or fake in any way. It felt very organic. Even when the new person was introduced, which still blows my mind. He was, and that's now I'm realizing it's a testament to Poon as well. Poon is a actor. I don't think I understood what a good actor he was because that was my first introduction to him. So like seeing him and other stuff now, I'm like, oh, he's very good. But aside from that, it's also New's ability to create these. That's why he does all these ensemble shows. And And now that group, you're going to see interact differently from here on out.
Yep.
They're going to be like more buddy than they may be with others because they went through that together.
Yeah.
Which I would like to point out that we actually already see, because like Pond and Boom were friends for a long time.
Yep.
But now, because they had that extra experience of being on the We Are, like you see them interact now, you're like, oh, I get it. They have been friends. Like, and it's just kind of like they have that extra experience, that extra like bit of, it's almost like having what is like the internal jokes kind of thing. They have that extra level of knowledge about each other that kind of gives them the comfortability that makes the rest of us feel like, oh, these are all friends.
Yeah. It's interesting finding out finding out so many people were friends with Dunk. I don't know why I didn't know that. Like, that's a shocking thing to me. But there's so many people who are like, starting, like, so many people that felt comfortable coming in and becoming friends with him. Okay, we do need to. We have been going a long time.
Yeah. So well, I was just trying to think. I was like, what do we want them to bring to us next time?
Huh?
Like, what do we want them to comment down below?
Oh, please explain to everyone what I was trying to say about gossip.
Oh yeah, that part. Don't forget.
That's what it is. Because I know what I was trying to say, but I don't know what was. I'm dyslexic. Who knows what the fuck was coming out of my mouth? Okay, but I know what was in my brain.
Help us, guys.
Help us. We need a Shannon translator because I am currently broken.
Maybe
it's because.
Maybe like think about some of the topics. We talked about a lot of interesting stuff today. Give us their point of view, or maybe some insights they had either out of this conversation or things they've been thinking about that they don't see talked about as much. We would love to just hear your ideas and your thoughts.
Yeah. I also really want people to tell us how they got into like our community, because most of the people that watch us have been watching us for a long time. So like, what brought you to us?
Yeah, that's a good.
I would like to know that.
What made you stay?
Both.
We can ask both.
What brought you in? What kept you?
Yeah.
Yes, both.
Okay, so that's the end of our episode today. We will be back in hopefully 2 weeks if nothing goes wrong. Thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for joining us. We hope that you follow, like, share, subscribe, everything like that. We are all separate on all platforms, and then we are here on YouTube. We're only here on YouTube together. So like, I hope everybody has a great day, and please continue watching us.
Yes. I just realized. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Sorry. Bye. You did such a good job. Bye, guys.
Literally. You're in charge of outros.
I have figured that out by now.
Yeah. Good.
You're right.